Hey guys, Basil and Will with GraysonHobby, and today we're going to unbox the new CETUS
FPV kit.
Is it called the CETUS? CETUS.
CETUS.
Close enough.
Literally, guys, compared to other micro drones, this thing is super stable. It's drifting a little bit, but not bad at all. But that's thanks to the optical flow sensor it uses on it.
So right now I am flying this drone one-handed.
All right, this drone is the hottest new thing from BetaFPV. It's a all-in-one kit. It has the remote, the quad, and FPV goggles.
Everything you need. You don't need any extra batteries, etc. It's literally take everything that's in the box out of it and go fly.
Yep, so in this video we're going to unbox it, go over in moderate detail of all the components, and then the next video we're going to post will be flying it and setting it up.
Yep.
Actually, there's no setup.
Yeah, there's really no setup on this thing.
One-handed. Holding the camera.
Which, don't do that, guys. Just, I don't know.
I grabbed the wrong one.
You do things I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it sometimes.
Let me see. Let me see it again. All right, now.
Yeah. So in the normal mode has altitude hold, so you can kind of fly it with the right stick for your banking and angles, but you still have yaw on the throttle side.
Well, brushless is the key word in the last several years. This one's brush. We kind of, to me, or anybody who's out watching this, is going to say, hey, I've taken a step back. I had some crappy and brushed ones from different companies.
Well, there's a couple things with this. I mean, you have the sensors on there that's helping it. The optical flow sensor definitely changes things for this. Oh, if I can keep dropping it. Technology is better now as far as the software and the electronics and the gyros and everything. Also, brush is going to be much more efficient for one cell setup. You're getting 5-minute flights out of this little guy. Whereas a brushless setup with small motors and all that to keep it down the size, you might get 3-minute flights at best. Strength. The brush motors are going to take more of a beating than a brushless motor as far as bending shafts and all that to keep it down the size. Brushless motors are much more expensive too. So maintenance, replacement costs, etc. is going to be much cheaper on something like this than a brushless equivalent.
Well, that makes sense now why I went to a brushless motor.
Yeah, it keeps the cost down, but for what this is trying to do, it doesn't need to be brushless. This flies very well to zip around the house, stuff like that. This is just, it's a very good product. I can't really stress that enough. It flies so well. I think BetaFPV definitely hit a home run on this one. It's just, I can't say anything bad about it, even though it's a brush quad. Like, I want to hate on it. I really did want to hate on this quad when I saw it. Just because it was brushed. I had that stigma in my head. But it flies very well. It did good. The batteries charge up quick. And for someone that's just getting into this hobby and wants something to fly and they're not good at flying or they don't have any experience in that regard, this is a perfect starting drone. Guys, so we have the CETUS FPV kit here. This is the Ready to Fly kit. Let's go ahead and get this thing out of the box and see what's in it. So at first, we got a really nice carry case. Typical with a lot of BetaFPV product. You got, from the first glance here, you got the goggles, transmitter, drone, and accessories. So let's see. These are nice and secured, actually, with Velcro straps. That's pretty nice. That's something cool. The transmitter itself has gimbal protectors on it. Again, a little extra step, silicone gimbal protectors. So that's a really nice little feature there. Go ahead and put that aside. You got the goggles. Now, the strap is not installed on the goggles out of the box, so you'll have to put that on separately.
The strap is right there. Okay.
And then you got the drone itself, which I guess looks like this case is going to be used for multiple size drones. So there's 2 pieces of Velcro there. This is the CETUS drone right there. And then, what else we got in here? This is where the goodies are. This is always the best part, in my opinion. You got the goggle strap. You got the USB-C charger and cell checker. You have the prop tool to be able to lift the props off the motors so you don't break them. 2 batteries, 300 milliamp, and these have the BT 2.0 connectors. You have, moving on, props, and there's a USB-C port in here. This is a programming port.
Take it out of the card, or the bag.
Yeah. It's going to go over this in more detail in a minute.
So at least we can see it.
But there's a full set of props there and a USB-C adapter board that will plug into here. So if you ever need to update stuff, but we'll go over that in a minute.
Okay.
Then you got a USB to USB-C cable. This will be for charging your goggles, your transmitter, and the batteries for the drone.
So don't lose that one.
Yeah, don't lose it. I mean, it's a standard one. You can get it anywhere, so it's not like if you lose that, you're out of luck.
But don't forget it.
This is the little product support thing. So if you have any issues, you can scan the QR codes. The knowledge base has a lot of like questions and answers to help you. And this paper stuff that no one ever uses, but it's very important for this one, guys. This is your quick start guide and full manual. So the quick start guide kind of tells you a quick what does what about the different modes.
Quickly.
Yeah. And then the manual here. This is actually, I went through the manual earlier and read it. It's pretty well written. It's not like you're having to translate a different language over here. So it's done very well, very complete. I really like the way they went through the manual and covered everything. Covers the transmitter, the charger, the goggles, the drone itself, some of the OSD settings, how to search the channel.
So you can bind it to the Radio Master?
Yes, you could bind it to a different radio.
And jump
but this just goes over everything. And finally, last thing in it, the fact that the transmitter can be used as a simulator for your computer.
Oh, cool.
So that's a really nice feature there.
Anything special with it, or it comes with everything?
It's just a USB-C cable to plug in the computer.
Right here, right?
Yep.
Oh, look at that. Perfect.
So your batteries, again, to touch over on this, on this drone, they are brushed motors. Appear to be 6mm motors. But cool thing about this drone, guys, is everything plugs in. The camera VTX assembly plugs in underneath. You can see the plug right there. Each motor plugs in. They're color coded, so you have the red, blue, and the black, white wires. So clockwise, counterclockwise motors, as well as the motors actually are colored, identified from a black or gray bottom. But the easiest thing is the wires. So when you do replace a motor, you do replace it with the exact same color one in that spot. Otherwise, you'll burn up the motor faster or it'll have no performance. But the drone has plug-in motors, plug-in camera, and everything. The frame is really nice and durable. I've been flying one, smacking into walls, stuff like that, just to see what happens. The biggest thing with this drone here, it has a optical flow sensor on it, so it helps determine altitude, and it does a lot more for the stability of the drone with the basic modes, and it's just something that you don't find in smaller
almost like a
drones
LiDAR.
this. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
So basically, the optical flow sensor and all that, and things like that, it helps make this drone what it is. And when I first saw it, I was like, oh, great, another brush drone. But after flying it once or twice, I was immediately impressed with this one. So I'm pretty excited to recommend this to first-time flyers.
Nice.
Now, what I was talking about the USB port here earlier, it'll plug into the little 8-pin plug there. This will allow you to do software updates. There are possible software updates coming, which makes it a little more future-proof. However, guys, this is not a BetaFPV software-driven drone. Whether or not it can be flashed later on, I'm not sure. But if there was an issue with something or has to be an adjustment made, it can be done through software updates, so you're not completely locked out. But I think that's more of a company, like if Beta releases a new version of the software or an update to make the sensor do more things, etc., that's more so what that's for.
Cool. All right.
So I think that's more to cover them more than anything on that one. But this USB thing, you pretty much probably won't ever use unless you had to update something down the road. BT 2.0 connector, wire length and everything. So that's the drone itself. And then one thing I like about this is the charger. So it's a 2-bay charger here, and you'll see one says test on it. So when you go to plug it in, if you use the test one, you plug it in, it becomes a cell checker as well.
Oh, it's like LED.
But they did it through underneath, so it's probably in the daylight. It's easier to see under bright light by doing it through a diffuser.
Cool.
So you'll see the batteries are roughly a storage voltage here out of the box. But
so can you charge two at one time? Or
you can charge both at one time. So when you plug in, so if you have it on the test mode here and then you plug into a power source, it immediately becomes a charger on either port.
Oh, okay.
And you'll have a green and red light. So green means it's charged, red light means it's charging.
Okay, cool.
So very easy to use. 2-once, they charge very fast. Honestly, they charged before I even realized it. I didn't time them, unfortunately. I was trying to do that earlier when I was recharging. But basically, I flew them down to low voltage and charged them back up. And I went over, answered a phone call. By the time I came back, it was pretty much done charging. So I was very impressed with that.
Okay.
So getting an extra pack of batteries, you can buy like an 8-pack for about under $30 of extra batteries. So you have flying for quite some time if you want to do that. Moving on to the transmitter here. This is the silicone gimbal protectors they include, which is a really nice little feature so they don't get damaged in travel and stuff like that. So that's a cool little thing right there. The transmitter itself has 4 switches on it. and they're programmed, and it has a USB-C port on the bottom, which is nice because for the simulator, the old USB 2 one was easy to break the USB port off. The USB-C is much stronger. You've got a headphone jack here, which I believe is for a trainer cord. I have not used that on this one. The manual, I think, actually tells you what that is, but the USB-C is what you'll use for connecting to a simulator and also charging the battery. The battery is not in this battery bay anymore, guys. Keep that in mind. This battery bay is hollow. The battery is now inside the transmitter itself, so I guess you could use this for storage of batteries if you want to, stuff like that.
The old ones had a little.
The old one had a little 2-cell battery in it, yeah. So you're not going to use that anymore. Just so don't be alarmed. It's still obviously check it, make sure it turns on. But if the light comes on, then the battery's in there.
So you get 4 switches. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay.
Now your switches here, you're going to have switch A is your arm and disarm. Switch B is your flight modes from standard. Normal, sport, and acro. Switch C is low, medium, and high rates. And then switch D, this is a weird one, actually. I like it, but I don't like it at the same time because I think this is one thing that's going to mess with people. When the drone is disarmed and the motors are not spinning, cycling switch D will cycle the channel of the video. I've seen a couple of reviewers saying they didn't know why it did that. It actually tells you in the manual that's what happens. Cycling switch D will go through the 8 channels that are available on this drone here. So if you flip it and your goggles magically lose video, you can either research the channel to find it again, or just cycle through the channel up to 8 times to go back to where you were.
Okay. I wonder why, but whatever.
Well, once it's flying though, I found it didn't take out the VTX channel, so it's almost like it has to be disarmed before it can switch a VTX channel, which is a nice feature, so you don't accidentally change it while you're flying. Fumbling for switches when you're new. But they did that so you don't normally, like if it was beta flight, you would go in through the stick commands and all that. They made this super easy for beginners. Flip the switch, and that way you can have up to a couple people flying at one time with these things on different frequencies spread throughout the band.
Okay, cool.
So they made it easier to use. Now, that being said, there is still programming that you can do through stick commands. So the 2 of the features you can turn off is the optical flow positioning function, to where it helps with the altitude and the keeping it stationary and stuff like that. One of the sensors that helps the stability of the beginner mode. And the second one is the laser altitude determination, it's called. Basically, that helps if you're flying over uneven surfaces, it'll try to match the elevation. So if it's 10 inches above the ground, it's going to try to stay. But you got to keep it at a slower rate. If you're trying to go too fast, it's not going to matter.
You can turn those off?
You can turn them on and off.
Don't turn them off.
Well, one of them actually comes off by default.
Okay.
So the one that comes off by default is the laser altitude determination. The optical flow sensor is on unless you turn it off.
Okay. I wouldn't recommend turning.
I would just, honestly, I flew it out of the box and I was very happy with it. If you wanted to mess with other settings, they give you the option for it, which is the last thing here is the goggles themselves. So the goggles are kind of neat because they're using USB-C. The battery's built in, so you don't have to worry about external batteries. The strap goes on very easily. Actually, here's one with the strap already installed. On the side of it, you have the power switch here. And when you're charging, the light will come on until it's finished charging. But it comes on. You'll see it shining in there. Now, one thing to stress is the way they're able to make this goggle small, the screen's actually sitting on top vertically or horizontally, and it goes down to a mirror that's on an angle and projects down to your face.
So the screen is almost like this.
The screen's like this, and then there's a mirror like this.
Okay.
That you're seing.
That's how
so
you
it's
get
like an inverted image.
That's how you get the shorter profile.
Yes.
Okay.
Now on this you have a search function. You tap it and then you hold it for 3 seconds. I believe it's going to be going through a crazy little thing.
Yeah.
Real quick, you'll find it. It searches through all the channels, and you can manually go up and down. Long press is band, and short press is channel, if I remember correctly. The manual tells you that.
So once you search it, it's pretty much the only thing it really do, right?
Pretty much searching will pretty much, yeah. If you do it a couple feet away, it usually finds the right channel right on with these.
Okay. That's it.
And that's pretty much all there is to it.
Those are box goggles, right?
Yeah, these are a box goggle. So they do pretty well. If you do have like major vision correction for glasses and all that, you may have to find like reading glasses or something like that to insert in there, or work out of something. Had a customer earlier today. He has prescription lenses for his glasses that were pretty strong, and he said he put them on and he felt like he could see well with them, but he figured without any sort of correction after about 5-10 minutes he would probably get a little bit of a headache. So keep that in mind, guys. As far as if your vision's really far off, you may need to do something to modify these to get the prescription closer to what you need.
Gotcha.
Great entry-level quad, FPV, line of sight, either way. Fun little something to fly around the house, travel with, etc. It has a nice little case. Take to the in-laws' house for the holidays, stuff like that.
Get 1, get 2, get 3, and have a bunch of fun.
Yeah, I mean, you can fly multiple at one time, so it's a nice little drone.